This video today is about reading and how it's influenced my thinking and my education in school. Well, I read all the time now that I'm older and have been for many, many years, but I didn't start that way. I was the first kid in first grade to have glasses, and I hated them because it made me look different. And whenever my teacher made me mad, I would get revenge on her by crossing my eyes to blur her out. I don't know if that's what caused my eyes to go bad. I put them on when I left the house. As soon as I got out the door and out of my mother's sight, I took them off. And my first grade teacher ratted on me, told my mother, and then she threatened me that if I didn't wear my glasses all day long, she would come to class and announce to everybody I had glasses and totally humiliate me. Well, I wore my glasses after that. In the first grade, we had what was called a Scholastic Reading Program, SRA. It had color-coded cards with short paragraphs with different reading levels, and they're color-coded. The lighter the color, the better the reader you were. The darker colored cards were lower level readers. I was down in the brown and the black, so you can figure out what that meant. Amazingly, I can still remember the names of the two other students that were the low readers in class, Alesta and Jeff. And myself, we were the three worst readers in my first grade. We had to sit in the far back of the class with the teacher. She finally gave up teaching us to read, and all we did is look up book numbers because it was kind of useless. So I was never a good student going through elementary school. I was the youngest student in my first grade class, and that didn't help me. I was socially promoted because I failed first grade. My father promised me anything if I would legitimately pass second grade. So I said, okay, I want a helicopter ride. Well, I got the helicopter ride. I cannot be certain that I actually legitimately passed. I didn't read my first book until I was in the 7th grade. My older sister, Karen, was an excellent reader, excellent student. She became a semi-national merit scholarship finalist, so it was a hard act to follow. I went to junior college after graduating from high school simply because my sister went to college. I was very, very confused in my life at that time, and I was suffering from a broken heart of a girlfriend. I dropped out of college to go to Vietnam. I joined the Marine Corps for 3 years, wanted to go to Vietnam to either get killed or become a hero. Neither one happened. After the military, after working a little bit in civil service after the military, I went back to college at what is now the University of California at San Bernardino to get a major in English and French. They refused to let me in since I had dropped out of school and flunked all my classes. But I told them I had become a Christian while in the military and really learned to study while reading the Bible, and I was a totally different person. So they let me in conditionally. And for the next 4 years in my master's, I got just all A's and B's, was an excellent student. I read all the time. Now 99% of all my reading I do on Audible, listening to it with earphones, listening to books online. The advantage of that is I can do it while I'm reading dishes, driving down the road. I can be resting in my chair with my eyes closed and still listen to books, so it's a great thing. As of today, my wife, Fran, and I have about, over 465 books on our phone. But that's what I do most of it. Now, I'm generally listening to several books at the same time, and that depends on how I feel. Some books take more mental energy, and I got to really be alert when I do those. When I do read a printed book, and I am right now, I always buy it so I can write in it. I find this extremely important. I underline, I circle, I draw arrows, I write in the margins of the book important ideas and responses. At the beginning of the book, in the fly in the back of the cover, in 2 or 3 words, I'll jot down the most important ideas and the page number. So it's kind of like a quick reference for future access. And without marking my book this way, I feel I would lose much of its value because, if I want a good quotation, I'm not going to read the whole book over for that. When I'm listening to a book online and there's a really good idea or quotation, I'll simply stop the audio book and I'll type it into a file on my computer. So I do the same thing. And I read with the intent of passing on what I'm learning. So I'm not the end of it. I like being able to share what I learn. Now, I never, ever, ever go anywhere without a pen or a pad of paper to jot down good ideas. I do it all the time, just like when I do reading. I would have to say reading is just about my favorite hobby. I couldn't imagine living without reading. I read my Bible every day. That's the best part of all reading, God's truth. So I do that first thing in the morning. For me, reading books is like time travel. I can go any place, any time, past or future. I can meet anybody in history. I can think their thoughts, just like reading the Bible. I can think God's thoughts after him because he's written those to me. So I see reading like time traveling. It's just wonderful. I'm constantly asking myself several questions while I'm reading. One of them is, what advice would I give to this character in this particular situation? Always thinking of that. I ask myself, what would I have done if I were in that situation? So I don't have to make every mistake in life on my own. I could read and learn from other people's mistakes and successes. A third thing I'm constantly thinking about is, what question would I ask the character in this situation? A fourth thing is, I'm constantly trying to predict what will happen next in the character's life. I'm looking for patterns to be able to make predictions. So I love long books much more than short stories, because that way I can get to know the characters better. And if they're good people, they become my friends. They become my advisor. And as I read, I'm visualizing in my mind's eye, in my imagination. I enter the book. I am standing next to the character watching all this. So it's not just words on a page. I'm living that story with the characters. I primarily like historical books, historical fiction, although I read a variety of books. Those are my favorites. Now, our home is full of books and hundreds of children's books that we read to our grandchildren all the time. I record books online for my children, grandchildren, my great-grandchildren, so they can hear me read and see my face and hear my voice for the next 1,000 years. We homeschooled our 3 boys, beginning when we were living in China, and my wife, Fran, over that time of the kids growing up, read approximately 125,000 pages of children's books to them. So she created what was called the Book of Books, and she would record the title of every book and how many pages it was in it. My mother is 96 right now, and she reads her Bible every day, and she reads novels every single day. I do not watch television at all. I haven't watched television in 50 years. I can't stand advertisements, and there's good stuff on television. I just simply don't watch television because I can find stuff on YouTube, although we have several hundred DVDs of selected videos that we watch. I get my news online. I no longer take the newspaper, and I certainly don't watch the news on television. I like what the Bible says in Luke 10:27. We are commanded to love God with all our heart, soul, strength, and our mind. And I find reading the Bible and reading other books an excellent way to help train my mind to think. I believe Christians should be excellent learners, and particularly excellent students of history, because, the Bible is a history book. So that's what I believe about reading and how it's significantly influenced my life for the better. So I'd be very interested in your responses, what you think about that, and let me know. So give me a comment in the bottom. Thank you.